The Constructors Association of Western Pennsylvania and Franz Seppler and Associates is pleased to introduce a new type of anti-harassment training called Respect in the Workplace. The purpose of this new program is to educate company managers and supervisors on how to build a more respectful workplace environment through a series of educational videos. Instead of traditional compliance training that solely focuses on legal definitions and standards for liability, this program focuses on respect, acceptable workplace conduct, and the types of behaviors that contribute to a respectful workplace. Why is it important to create a culture of respect in the workplace? 1. Increases productivity and quality of work. 2. Makes your project a place where employees want to show up and give their best. 3. Prevents your workplace from becoming hostile and toxic. The following video, Giving and Getting Feedback, will explain why is getting feedback important, how to give feedback, how to get feedback.
Hi, my name is Franz Seppler. I'm a workplace consultant, educator, and investigator. As an investigator, it's part of my job to come to people's workplace and to let them know that there's been a complaint against them. Then I have to ask them about the behavior, the very specific behavior they're accused of. Inevitably, within moments, they'll say to me something like, "Well, why didn't they tell me? Why didn't they say something? How could I have known that they were upset by this if they didn't say anything?" Those are really good questions. I mean, think about it. If you were doing something in your workplace, you were using certain language, you were engaging in certain behavior, you were doing something that bugged somebody, maybe over and over again, and you had no idea, wouldn't you want them to tell you? Because what's their other choice? Their other choice is to report you to a supervisor, to a foreman, to have them call somebody like me to investigate you. I think about 100% of us would much rather have somebody tell us that they're having a problem than to wait, become miserable, and file a complaint. So why doesn't that happen more? We all think we would want to get feedback. Well, feedback is tough to get and to give. We think of ourselves in particular ways, and our brain is wired to view information that we're not showing up the way we think we are as a threat. In the slide you're looking at right now, you see a bear chasing after someone in the olden days. And right next to it, you see somebody in the modern day being chased by feedback. When we get feedback, we react as though we're facing a threat. Our brain immediately braces for some kind of conflict. We begin to immediately start making an argument that this feedback couldn't be correct. Our brains are wired to experience that when someone tells us that we are showing up in the world in the way that is different than we think we are, that we experience that as some kind of violation. And because of that, we sometimes are reluctant to give others feedback based on how we think they'll react. Could get mad, could retaliate. They could take your feedback and turn it into, well, if you feel that way about me, here's how I feel about you. They may think that you won't care or that it won't make a difference. Yet, feedback is exactly what we can do to create safety for ourselves in our workplaces. If someone is bugging us and we can speak up, that's half the game. The other half of the game is if we can speak up, can that other person listen to what we've got to say? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about feedback as a gift. Look, we have all gotten gifts we didn't love, right? But when somebody gives you a gift, you don't say, what the hell are you giving me this for? Or I didn't want that. Or you shouldn't have done that. That's a ridiculous thing to do. Because if we did that, the person giving us that gift would feel really angry or upset. They would feel as though we were throwing the gift back in their face, and they wouldn't like it. And the end result wouldn't be good. We don't do that because when somebody gives us a gift, we know that they've been thoughtful, that they're doing something for us that they don't have to do. And even if we don't like the gift, we're gracious in the way we receive it. We recognize that they were being generous. So this is where feedback comes in. I come to you and I say that something you said to me or something you did really upset me. And your inner reaction is to immediately defend yourself, argue, tell me I'm wrong for feeling or thinking that way, telling me I'm too sensitive, or thinking that I'm impugning you and you're a good person and you never would have done something intentionally to hurt me. Well, now you've taken my gift and you've thrown it back in my face. And I'm going to be hurt and I'm going to be angry. And more importantly, I'm not going to be really interested in giving you any gifts in the future. So as you can see, this feedback thing, this ability to help each other not get in trouble, requires some skill and it requires some thought. First, the ability to package something in a way that is going to be acceptable to the other person. So they're going to receive that without feeling as though they're under some kind of threat. And then learning to be good gift getters, learning to be gracious when somebody gives us feedback, even if we don't agree with it, even if we think it's dead wrong. Because there's something I'll say now, and I'll say it again later, that should be your most important takeaway of this whole video. And that is, you can't argue with feedback and win. So let's talk about giving feedback. Somebody has done or said or continues to do something that's getting in your way. It's causing you to be angry, upset. It's causing you to feel disrespected. And you want to tell the person, you want to give them a chance to fix it, rather than having to bring a third party in, rather than having to file a complaint. So the first thing we do when we want to give somebody feedback is we give them a heads up. We don't just sort of dive in and tell them what we think. We say, I've got some feedback to give you, and let them know. That's a heads up. Even better, we ask permission. You know, there's something I need to tell you, something I need to talk to you about. When would be a good time for us to have that conversation? Depending on your style, depending on your relationship with the person, you might approach it a different way, but some kind of heads up. Number two, and this is a biggie, you need to tell them of your positive intention. So that might sound like, you know, you said something yesterday that really bugged me. And I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't think you're a bad person, but it needs to change. So I'd like to tell you about it. Or it might just simply sound like, you know, I want us to be able to work together going forward, and I don't want anything to get in the way, so I'd like to share something with you. The next thing is be brief. You don't have to file a multi-page grievance with the individual. You merely need to tell them what the issue is. So you used a particular word. It didn't land well for me. Here's why. You might say, here's what you did, or here's what I've been experiencing. You know, you're always crowding me. You're getting into my personal space, and that doesn't feel good to me. Or you might say, the language that you used yesterday is really insulting. You need to speak for yourself. You're not speaking for other people who may have had the same reaction. So think about I felt really angry. I got mad. I didn't want to work with you. And explain the why. Why is this a problem? It may simply be because I have a hard time being around somebody who behaves that way. Or when you do this, it makes it so that I can't concentrate on my work. And then once you've done that, give the person the opportunity to answer, to give you a question, to raise a question, to learn more about it. Now, this sounds awkward when it's all hypothetical, but I'll give you an example of a situation that I recently encountered where I had to give somebody that feedback. The individual had, this was in a professional setting, and the individual had, who I was going to work with going forward, had reached out and given me a hug. I wasn't okay with that. I felt like it was unprofessional. I don't like people in my space. I felt like it was condescending of them. I had all sorts of reactions. But in order to give them feedback, I had to remember what my objective was. I wanted to let them know that that wasn't okay and it wasn't going to be okay going forward. So I said, can I give you some notes on something that happened yesterday when we were dealing with each other? He said, yes. I said, because I really like this project and I want it to continue to go well. But yesterday, you reached out without any warning and you hugged me. I'm uncomfortable with that, not because it's you, but if anybody had done that, it wouldn't have been okay with me. I like my physical space, don't like to be hugged. And for me, that just makes it feel more professional. So I hope it's okay with you if I ask you not to repeat that in the future. I could see that they wanted to get a little defensive. They all got into apologizing, and I'm like, no, I don't need an apology. I'm really good, and I really like working with you. Let's just move forward and just do it without the hugs. And we were good. End of discussion. Now, it all sounds so easy, but I am sure every single one of us has had a situation where somebody has tried to give us feedback, and we've gotten defensive. Like I said, that's how our brains are wired. There's nothing wrong with it. So what we know is that if we want to be good feedback getters, and remember, we want to be good feedback getters because if we fail to be, we're not going to be getting much feedback in the future. So the first thing we have to do is self-regulate. When somebody says the words to me, I want to give you some feedback, or can I tell you about something that you did that's a problem, whether it's about my professional performance or about my behavior, I feel my brain starting to rehearse my comeback right away. And maybe for you, you start feeling your heart rate go up or your respirations go up, or you start formulating for yourself some reason that this is incredible, that the person is not coming to you with good intentions. So what we need to do is slow that breath down. We can do something I call bracing, simply putting our feet flat on the ground. We can do some other kinds of things that are taught in mindfulness, like take our thumbs, put them between our first two fingers and squeeze real hard. That's a way to just keep our escalation down. And you can do self-talk too. You can say, maybe they're right. Or I need to listen to this. Or it does no harm just to listen. And what we're going to do then is we're going to show up as being ready to take the feedback. Otherwise, our face and our body language are going to reflect that we're really not here to listen. So in that first moment, we need to find some way to get a grip on ourselves. And then when someone has had their say, and we need to let them have their say until they're done, we say thank you. It may be that in our head, we're saying none of this feedback lands well with me. I disagree with this person. I don't see the world the way they do, but they've given us a gift. They've been thoughtful, and they're being generous with their feedback. And so we take that gift and we say thank you. There's going to be plenty of time for us to later look at that gift and decide whether we want to keep it, we want to toss it, or maybe we want to re-gift it to somebody else. And a really good thing to do after we've said thank you is to say, is there anything more you can tell me about this? Maybe they can give you an example. Maybe they can help you understand something that your defensiveness has stood in the way of your understanding. But as I said earlier, you can't argue with feedback and win. So no matter how much you disagree with what you've heard, take that gift, be gracious, walk away, and consider. And ultimately, if you do want to have a discussion with someone because you believe that you've been misunderstood or misinterpreted, have that conversation a little while later, not in the heat of the moment. This series is about respect in the workplace. And if you haven't figured it out by now, giving feedback is a sign of respect. I don't want you to get in trouble. I don't want to allow you to continue to behave in a way that could damage your relationships. I don't want for you to be showing up in the world in a way that is different than the way you think. I want to have this conversation to make things better. That's a sign of respect, and it requires some courage. Accepting feedback is a sign of respect. Even if I don't see the world the way you do, I'm willing to listen to you, and I'm willing to consider what you have to say. You can disagree with feedback and still accept it. Doesn't mean they're right, because feedback isn't a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of how I see the world and how you see the world. And we can both see the world differently and be completely right. And I'll say it one more time. When someone gives us feedback, we're not going to be able to talk them out of it. All we're going to do is make them feel like we're not interested in what they have to say and that we're not listening. The best work environments are what we call feedback rich. They're environments in which people are able to and willing to talk to each other, to stop problems when they're very small, and where people are willing to listen to each other and to understand, and even to make adjustments in our behavior to increase the comfort of the people around us. By doing that, we create environments where we wake up in the morning, we look forward to getting to work, we enjoy the people we work with, and we feel respected and dignified in our work life. Thanks for your time.